as of 12:01 this morning, Friday, May 2nd, everything has gotten more expensive, technically. Now, we've talked about this before over here on SquirrelTribe, so this is not going to be anything new, but it is going to be something that has officially happened. We talked about it in the hypothetical, what if this could happen type of scenario, and then today, thanks to President Donald Trump, it became actual reality. So, President Trump has ended what they call the de minimis, which is, I assume how you're supposed to say it. I have no accent, so who knows? But the de minimis tariff loophole on low-value imports. Remember, when President Trump got into office, he talked about tariffs before he was ever in office. He talked about he was going to raise tariffs against other countries since we are paying plenty of tariffs to other countries, that it was only fair that we reciprocate those tariffs. And so he has done reciprocal tariffs to numerous countries, not at the exact amount they have been tariffing us, but in a 50%, sometimes a little bit more scenario. While China still playing hardball. China, though, they are saying today, they were talking about the fact that China has reached out to the White House in theory, and they want to maybe discuss how they're going to move forward with all these tariffs, because the tariffs are not only hurting us, they are hurting China as well. And the hurting us scenario isn't in the sense of what most people think it is. To me, the hurting us is because a lot of people don't really truly understand how these tariffs and what President Trump is doing could, in theory, work out in a positive way for companies here in the United States of America. When you have manufacturers who are not able to bring things in from other countries because they don't want to pay those tariff fees, instead they find ways to make them or get them here, that is helpful to us here in the United States of America for more products that are then made in America. But one of the things that people have talked about for the longest is how when we are importing from China and other places, how there have been a lot of lax import costs or non-tariffs that have happened at the ports when things are being imported in, right? So President Trump said this is what's going to happen. So as of 1 minute past midnight on Friday, which today, 12:01 Eastern time, a U.S. tariff exemption that fueled the rise of companies such as Shein and Temu, which I know a lot of younger people order from. I don't know how many of people in the older generations order from Shein and Temu. I will consider myself older generation. I'm 43 years old. I'm not ordering from either of those places. I don't want to order anything that comes directly from China, that's made directly in China. That is just me. Yes, I do have a lot of products that are made in China because I've purchased them here in the United States, but I don't willingly, knowingly go out and order specifically from Shein or Temu, because it's a lot of times it's really cheap stuff that falls apart really quickly. I personally would rather spend a couple more dollars for something here in the US that in theory will last a lot longer, right? So that's just me personally. To each their own. You do you, boo. There's nothing wrong with how you want to spend your money. It's your money. But the tariffs are making things a little difficult right now for Shein and Temu lovers, people who want to order from them, especially now that President Trump has put this into place. So as part of Donald Trump's flurry of tariffs on China, as they're calling it, the U.S. is closing a loophole that allowed low-value goods to be shipped into the U.S. without paying any import fees. So the de minimis loophole, known by the Latin phrase for of little importance, was a big scam going on against our country. That's what the president quoted on Wednesday. And he says, we're putting an end to it. So de minimis refers to a trade policy. This thing was introduced in the 1930s, way back then, almost 100 years ago, 95 years ago at this point in time. It was introduced in the 30s. It allowed travelers returning to the U.S. from traveling abroad to bring goods with them worth up to $5 without declaring them to U.S. Customs. Now, since 2016, that amount has gone up to $800 because obviously inflation over time and blah, 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 blah. $5 in 1930, probably almost equivalent to $800 today, just because that's how the economy seems to be working, right? Now, the term de minimis, like we said, means of little importance, but the policy, they're saying, is responsible for a huge volume of consumer goods. Roughly 1.36 billion shipments entered the U.S. via the loophole in the fiscal year of just 2024. 1.36 billion shipments. That's not in dollars. That is each individual order that was coming in. 1.36 billion. That's 1.36 billion orders that came in that did not have to pay any sort of tariff or any sort of money at the ports, that we as the United States are losing out on because these orders are under $800, because Shein and Temu and places like that, even Amazon that, you know, ships from China and other other places, they have such low cost products that you're able to order so many things at once and never have to pay this import fee. Now, Shein and Temu and Amazon themselves, although, you know, we don't like to talk bad about Amazon, but we need to right now, they have a tendency to ship things. Let's say you buy $1,000 worth of things. They're not going to send you everything in one box. They're going to break it up amongst numerous boxes so that they stay under that loophole of $800. So they are not having to pay the tariffs at the ports because they want to keep as much money as humanly possible. So while they are using that loophole to benefit them, it is also hurting the United States of America. Now, y'all know, if you've been here on Squirrel Tribe before, I am all for a loophole that will help you save money. I am all about loopholes. But you have to realize when some of those loopholes are doing more damage than good for the greater good of your country, right? So according to this, 90% of all the cargo entering the U.S. Went through the loophole, and they're saying that about 60% of those packages come from China. That is a lot of missed out on money for the United States. Think about this. Think about it this way. If we are able to then pull in tariffs, what are the odds that over time we could have lower taxes, lower everything else, because we're not having to basically, how does the phrase go? Rob Peter to pay Paul. We are Peter and the government is Paul, but if they quit robbing us because now they're getting the money where it should be coming from, maybe Paul can get paid and Peter can keep its money. Like, I feel like that's how it goes, and I'm probably messing up the phrase, but y'all know exactly what I mean. It says here that as of Friday, 12:01 today, Friday, May 2nd, 2025, parcels worth less than $800 will be subject to a 120% levy, or a flat fee of $100, which will go up to $200 from June. That is on top of the 145% tariffs already placed on all Chinese imports. So now they are saying that packages, the cost of a lot of things, are going to go up. Obviously, because tariffs will cause a rise in prices, right? So this is all, in my opinion, y'all, this is my opinion, it's all designed to make you think twice before you order from overseas. Not because, you know, the president doesn't want you to be able to get the things that you want. He prefer if you could get them here in the U.S. There are a lot of people who can buy the exact same thing here, but they don't want to because obviously it's cheaper overseas. And that's obviously awful for us because we don't want to pay more when we don't have to. We want to keep as much money as humanly possible. But at the end of the day, what you're getting from overseas, they could tell you it's the exact same thing, but how do we know that there's not something tweaked or changed or whatever? You're not getting a knockoff. You have no idea because there's not the same regulations that we have over here. So with these new tariffs and the doing away of the loophole, you're going to see a lot of changes if you happen to order. So according to this is data that was compiled by Bloomberg. They found that the average price for the top 100 products sold by Shein in the beauty and health category increased by 51% just in the past week, while a 10-piece set of kitchen towels increased in price by 377%. The average increase for women's clothing was 8%. Listen, if you want dish towels, go to your local store. Go to Walmart, go to Target, go to Dollar General, Dollar Tree, not Family Dollar. We talked about this a couple days ago. They're closing all of those jokers since Dollar Tree sold them. But you have other options here, especially if it's going to cost you 377% more to order from Shein or Temu now. It makes more sense to buy it here in the United States of America, to keep the businesses here within our borders going because they have customers that are now coming in and spending money there. I think it's a great idea, me personally. Not everybody's going to agree with it, and that is okay. Everybody is entitled to their own opinions. But at the end of the day, you want to do what you can to save yourself money, obviously. And the president is trying to do what he can to save the country money overall and to bring in more money for the country overall. This is one of those things where it has to play out. And once it does, I'm hopeful, and I know a lot of other people are hopeful, that this whole tariffs issue is going to be something that is financially beneficial for the United States of America. I believe it will be. I'm sure you guys believe it will be also. But if you are trying to save a little bit of money, I know I've mentioned this to you guys before, but if you haven't already, if you're over the age of 65 or maybe you're 64 or older and you happen to be on Medicare or Medicare Advantage or any of those kind of things, make sure you guys have called Chapter, because it is a free phone call and they will help you figure out if you have the perfect plan, whether it's A, B, the Medicare Advantage C, or if it's D, or whatever you have, they will help you figure out if you have the correct plan for yourself that is, you know, perfect and doesn't need to be tweaked, chef's kiss kind of thing. You don't need to do anything. Or if you need to make a couple changes that could save yourself some money over time. So here is the information here. If you guys want to see it, this is the website you would go to and the phone number. You're looking at 513-898-3528. You guys, like I said, free phone call, takes 30 seconds or less just to pick up the phone, dial the number, talk to somebody for free, tell them what you got. They'll go through over 24,000 different scenarios and options for you and let you know if you need to make a change or if you need to stay exactly where you are. It never hurts to call because you could end up saving money or you could have a perfect plan. It just kind of depends, right? But at the end of the day, I know right now a lot of people are worried about the money in their pockets and in their bank accounts, and so every little thing helps. Maybe, you know, step back from ordering from outside of the US for a while, put the money in your pocket, and we'll see what happens with these tariffs over time. Fingers crossed everything goes well. That's my hope. I'm sure it's your hope. Squirrel Tribe, I love y'all immensely, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.